Welcome to this installment of Creative Cabin Fever. On tonight's episode, we have a wonderful guest, Connor Clancy of TOUCAN. Connor, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Connor, and I am in a band called TOUCAN.
Brilliant. Would you like to tell everyone what kind of music TOUCAN is?
TOUCAN is like, I think it's soul. Soul is probably the easiest way to put it. But like, a lot of it is more kind of like pop soul music, and then some of it is kind of funkier. So sometimes we call it pop funk. It's somewhere in there anyway. It's pop funk soul, some sort of mishmash.
Yes, and most people would have heard it on the radio and potentially not known it was you guys, but it's a really easy, happy ballads that kind of play in the background that you adore.
Yeah, they're kind of like just happy-go-lucky tunes.
Which is exactly the type of music we need right now anyway, so.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Better start releasing some more.
There's plenty of time to create at the moment, Connor, so.
True. True.
So how is quarantine treating you? You're currently at home with your family?
Quarantine is overall actually pretty good. Um, Playing lots more music than I would have before. I think I don't know what it is. There's just something about having that extended period of time when you're not doing anything. I think that's just everything's just already there. Do you know what I mean? When you're playing gigs all the time, you take down all your stuff, you put it in the car, then it's in the car, you bring it back into the house, set it all up, and then you're kind of like playing again. So it's nice, like it's not going anywhere. I just sit down and I have all my gear right here. But yeah, no, I'm at home with the fam. We're all just kind of chilling out. Everybody's taking it really handy. It's nice.
That is nice. A lot of people are really enjoying that reconnection happening because, like, there might have been years where you weren't so close, so you didn't see each other as much, and you're learning new things about your family. Are you finding things like that yourself, or?
I don't think so because I spend a lot of time at home anyway. Like I actually work in Shmore and I've been living with my family since I actually moved back after college. So that's not really the case. My brother Kevin is home from college, but even still, like we'd all see each other so often that it's not so much like a reconnection, it's just like a more intense version of what was going on before.
Wonderful. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
There's no reshuffling there, so that's great.
Yeah.
What there is a reshuffle, though, however, is the Theatre Royal gig. So, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So what we're doing for the Theatre Royal gig is, well, it had to be moved out all the way into next year. So that's the new date for that is the 30th of January 2021. Just ages away. So in the meantime, we said that we would do like a live a live gig when the gig would have been happening. So it's obviously free. It's just gonna be like a live on Instagram thing. We're hoping that we can have the whole band together, even if it's like over some sort of like streaming thing. But I think there's probably gonna be like lag issues and stuff like that. So we'll see. It'll probably just be me. I'm thinking of showing off like loads of new demos on the day. So like just set my phone up, set the computer up, and then just show people demo recordings and stuff like that. Be kind of unique. But yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's amazing. That's a really good concept and a great reinvention because obviously the gig isn't cancelled, it's just postponed. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, here's a tester, here's a taster,
Yeah,
here's a
yeah,
show of appreciation.
absolutely. And it's kind of just like, yeah, it's just nice to give people something. It's not going to be as good, but it's something.
Yeah, no, I think it's brilliant. A lot of bands are doing live gigs and it's keeping people at home kind of, happy to be able to enjoy this music still. And one of the things I was finding best about it myself personally is being able to share the music with my son because I wouldn't be able
Okay.
to bring him to gigs. Well,
Of course, yeah.
daytime gigs, but not.
Not the full shebang.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice. And obviously, like, yeah, it's nice.
Music is the answer to every question. So I agree. Are you guys going to be doing any kind of GoFundMe or buy me a coffee option or anything along those lines?
Oof, I'm not really sure. I think the answer at the moment is probably no. But I think that the option is there. Um, I've toyed with the idea of doing GoFundMe's to like be able to do an album or something like that because it's all just so expensive. So I've been like just about being able to fund it either through the band or through myself or independently so far. Um, but it's definitely something we've thought about doing. We're not going to do it in the near future. On the gig, there's maybe like a donation campaign that we might do. Like if you had bought a ticket, you get a refund. Maybe you could donate some of that to a charity. Um, that's all very up in the air, so I'm not really sure.
Well, there's plenty of time to reshuffle that and come up with a
Yeah,
plan. So
yeah. We'll have to keep thinking.
that's fine. We obviously had a pre-interview because I always do one of those, and we had a discussion about the soundtrack of your life, Connor, and
Yeah.
you got really buzzed about it. So
I thought it was just such a cute phrase. The soundtrack of my life. um, I actually wrote it in my email, so I have to get my phone out. What's the best way to do it? Just read them out.
I don't know. Most people put it up on Spotify and I share it later. So that could
I
always
think
be
I'll
an
do that.
option.
See, some
Or
of the.
you,
Oh, sorry, go on.
no, you're okay. You can share
Oh, you're
some of
good.
them now.
Um,
And you don't have to explain them. That's up to people's interpretation of you as a person.
yeah, let's let the people interpret. Do you know what? I won't even go through it. There's like, yeah, I have like 15 tunes there. They're all mostly on Spotify. Actually, do you know what? They're all already in a playlist that I've made because I love them all so much. There's a playlist on Spotify called TOUCAN Faves, and that's just all my like top tier songs. But there is some that I put in the list that aren't on Spotify, which is so sad because they're such good tunes. So maybe I'll link you the YouTube links or something like that. You can share. I don't know. We can see.
Wonderful. Well,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
share that on our Instagram and then get more people to know the
Cool.
sound of your life,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
understand you a bit better maybe as a creator.
Cool.
So obviously you're also a playwright or were.
Yeah.
What's the creative differences between being a playwright and a songwriter?
Being a playwright and being a songwriter. Um, they're probably like fairly vastly different. I think maybe it depends on the kind of songs that you write. I suppose they share a lot in terms of you need to be able to tell a story. Um, but I think the plays are just such a like different beast. They're just so much longer. Like a play, you're writing an hour here, whereas a song you're writing 3 minutes. You know, um, they definitely for me anyway they come about in very different ways. It's like I find that the songs I just kind of chisel away at, and they form kind of eventually. Whereas with the plays, what always happened was like I would just get like that spark that it was just like some sort of like narrative or story had some twist in it. I was like, oh, that's great, and then I'd be construct the story around that little bit. Um, so that's yeah. I don't know how to do like a clean compare and contrast, but um, that's some differences and some similarities.
And have you found any creative differences in this moment in time? So is it maybe opening you to a different creative outlet, or maybe changing your creative process from its norm or anything like that?
I think I've been able to go back actually to the way that I used to write tunes when I was at probably my most creative, because it's just, pre-college and maybe during college as well. It's just so much free time. It's just so much free time. And I think that since then I've not really had that. Um, like I wouldn't have 7 days, 7 afternoons in a row where there's nothing in them, or 7 evenings in a row, and not be like, I don't know, like sort of burnt out or like tired from doing other things or have social events and stuff like that on. So I think that I've realized that that's actually what suits me a lot, having sort of extended periods of time where you can do a little bit every day. I think that's actually what suits my creative process anyway. I'm seeing great results over the last while. I'm writing lots of new little bits and bobs. Um, yeah, I think, and as well, I've been like procrastinating setting up like a recording setup for the last years. But having all this free time as well, and I was just kind of, you know what, now's the perfect time. So now I have a recording setup. I'm actually sitting in the midst of it.
Brilliant. And it's great to see that you're able to do it. I think because we have so much more time, there's less of a rush on people as well. So you actually are allowed to procrastinate, and that might create something a little bit more powerful than when you have to rush it.
Agreed. I think that there was also like I was like, I was nearly like pressuring myself to create more because I had all this free time. It's like, there's no excuse. Like, you've no excuse. But you have to just be like, yes, I understand there's loads of free time, but, and like, do try and be as disciplined, or do try to be as disciplined as you can be, but just not try and force it out of yourself either.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
One of the questions I've kind of been focusing on is, are people kind of discovering new things about themselves in this moment in time? You know, is there something maybe you weren't able to pursue before that you're like, yeah.
Interesting. Let me think. Um, I think that, well, it's actually not new, but it's sort of like a confirmation of something I've always known, but it's just come up again. I've just definitely realized maybe over the last couple of years that I'm someone who really, really, really needs routine. And this is like the perfect example of that. For the first week that we were on lockdown, I was just like, no routine whatsoever. And I always have, you know, the way you have that ideal version of what's going to happen for the next 7 days. And you're like, right, this, this, that. You write it all out and you're buzzing. And then it's just like a total lack of discipline and timekeeping. But it's like with all the free time, um, I definitely need to like give myself a routine, or else it just, things don't get done. And then I'm kind of like sitting around, I'm kind of like, oh, why do I feel that? It's like, because you haven't done anything like productive in like 3 days.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think because the concept of time kind of has almost evaporated,
Mm,
and there's no real pressure on people unless you're kind of your own driving force or your own kind of routine keeper, as it were, for you.
mm,
It is a lot more difficult, yeah.
yeah.
And is there anything that you're doing to create that routine? Is there anything in particular that you do each day, or?
Really, it's just make sure I sit actually in this chair and play the guitar for a certain period of time. And that's actually the kind of like crux of it. That's like the backbone. Everything else will like fall into place around that. I try and do something physical as well every day. But really, it's kind of what I'm really speaking about in relation to is being creative and being active musically. So it's just making sure that I pick it up every day. What about
Perfect
you?
answer. What about me?
Yeah,
Every morning I have a coffee and
very
a
good.
cigarette before my son wakes up. If he's here, I then make breakfast for us, and then I play sword fighting for about 4 hours.
That's way better than my routine.
Yeah, no, the days vary greatly. We've been doing a lot of arts and crafts as well.
That was great, crack.
And then when he's not here, I kind of take it a little handier. So my days are a little bit more flexible. They don't start at 6:30 in the morning, for instance.
I wouldn't be able. That's great though. It's nice that you have such like sort of stark contrast between the days. You can have like the really mellow stuff if you need it, and then the really energetic days as well. Both sword
Yeah,
fight.
as a rule, as a person, I really enjoy duality in life. I've never been the type of person who could dedicate her whole entire life to one project. There would always have to be a few different projects on the go. My attention span probably isn't the best. I don't know, but I like different creative outlets. It's just kind of my way.
That's nice.
Now, I've never asked this question before in an interview, so I'm testing it out on you.
Oh,
Only
geez.
because it was
I'm
something someone
guinea
asked me in an interview or something someone said in an interview, and I went, that's going to be a deadly question when I ask it.
pig. All right, lay it on me. What do we got?
What is the first thing you're going to do when we get out of quarantine?
What is the first thing I'm gonna do when I get out of quarantine? Oh my God, I'm gonna be so social. I am going to be so social. I think, oh, it's just gonna be a whole day out. I just buzzed there. I didn't know what I did. Oh, I just want to go to a restaurant and then have drinks after. Just like so simple. Just go out for a meal and then have a load of pints. That is a beautiful quarantine ender for me. That would be great.
It sounds like a really beautiful plan.
What's yours?
I'm going to go to Art and have 17 coffees and
Oh
about a whole
yeah.
pouch of tobacco.
You're just gonna take up that barrel.
Yeah, I do it like daily anyway, so it's the thing I miss the most. Like, I spend most of my mornings when my son is in school outside the Art, just
Oh, that's really nice.
talking with people and networking and making sure I don't miss a beat on what happens in the town and conducting my business, but that's kind of how I do it. The Art would be one of my hubs, so I miss it terribly.
Yeah, it's such good coffee as well. I actually love it.
It's an incredible coffee. 3FE, considering it's an Irish company, an Irish brand, everything about it is perfect.
Are
The
they?
fact
I
that
didn't actually even know that. Oh my God.
yeah, they're Dublin based. They changed the coffee ground as well. I think whenever the bags run out, but it's usually every second month. So you'll always have a different bean on as a guest bean, which is really
Wow.
interesting.
Guest bean. Unreal.
Yeah. And they have these limited edition packs that come in every so often. And one year they had a yellow bag. And I love the color of the bag so much, I painted my entire kitchen that color.
No way. What color was it?
Really bright yellow.
Oh my God, why does that make sense? That makes so much sense.
My entire house is just this plethora of color that makes no sense to anyone but me, but it doesn't have to.
Is it all sort of mismatched?
It makes sense. It makes sense. Each room has a theme and a color.
Okay.
And then the outside of the house is all graffiti. And then the back garden looks like a music festival because I painted all the wood everywhere on the fences, mad electric picnic-esque type colors. And there's graffiti out
Okay.
the back as well. Yeah.
I could get on board with that. Sounds like a good color coding.
Yeah, well, actually, last year for Waterford Walls, Anna, who works in the art, organised that one of her graffiti artist friends would be allowed to paint the facade of my house.
Unreal. That is class. Do you live on the street, is it?
Yeah.
It's the front of your house. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I think it's still to this day the only house that has the front of it actually painted. It's not a sidewall
What
or anything.
what one is yours? What's the painting?
It's a secret house. I'll tell you off camera.
Sorry, yeah, I'm trying to out your address here.
Yeah, yeah. When it's finished recording, I promise I'll tell you, but I'm not telling everyone.
That's very fair.
So moving on, a question I always ask in my interviews. What was the first song you remember falling in love with? Now, your interpretation of that question is completely up to you. The question
I
is
know it
open.
straight off the bat, 100%. It is Hell's Bells by AC/DC. Hands down. Hands down. I was obsessed. Like, as in, I cannot overstate how obsessed I was. I was obsessed with AC/DC. From like the age 7, my dad had this live double disc CD from one of their gigs, and Hell's Bells. I actually used to go in. I used to go in to learn classical piano at the age of like 8, and then on the way in, we would listen to Hell's Bells like full blast. I'd like play the piano for like half an hour, and then we come home, Hell's Bells full blast again. Loved it.
That's amazing. That is really not the answer I expected, which makes it even more special.
Yeah, no, I loved them so much. Oh my God. I was trying to get all their CDs for ages. And then I'd say maybe I was like 13, 14, and it started to kind of diminish, probably for good reason. But those 5 years were AC/DC number one.
That is amazing. That's a great answer. Have you seen
Great.
them live?
I've actually never seen them live, and I really, really hope I can someday. Um, they were at the no, Croke Park, like 2 years ago. My friend Hillary went. And I was actually like, I should really go to that. But I think maybe I had something on. But no, I really should go. There is such good crack music. Like,
They put on a massive show, like it's really
have you
impressive.
seen them?
Twice.
Oh my God, I'm jealous. Where did you catch them?
Download.
Download, rock and roll, class.
I used
When
to
were
go
you
to
there?
Download Festival every year for 6 years running. I actually have a Download family over in the UK. We all meet
Hey,
every
oh,
year and we hang out in the campsite together and we talk throughout the year. And I haven't been in about 6 years, I'd say,
no
but we're
way.
still really close and we still talk the whole time.
Oh, that's great. And do they still all go?
Yeah,
Oh, you need to go. You need to
I know
go.
it was just a bit complicated for a while, but I'm going to
Oh,
get there again.
sorry. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's probably not going to be this year, so you definitely have another year to gear
Yeah,
up.
and I'm actually owed a free ticket. This really, really adorable story happened.
Go on.
I went to the campsite. Okay, so I went to Download by myself and I was meant to go with a friend. My friend couldn't go, so he gave me his ticket. And he basically said, look, when you get there, just sell the ticket and have extra money for yourself. And I was like, I don't really feel comfortable doing that. I'd rather pass on a good favor. But on the journey to Download, I didn't meet anyone who needed a ticket or anything. So I went down to the campsite and I waited for my Scottish friends to come and put up my tent. And I started drinking gin. And then I turned around and there was this guy in the tent next to me and he looked really sad. And I was like, are you okay? And then he started telling me a sad story about how his daughter was meant to be there, but life was kind of tough at her at the moment. So I just gave him my ticket.
Away.
And from that, I actually have three of the closest people in, like, if ever there's anything wrong, I can just message them anytime. They're always
Uh,
there, even though we might not be in contact for a month. But
yeah, yeah.
actually, the girl who got the ticket invited me to her wedding this summer.
Oh, oh, that's beautiful. Oh, wow. That is a great story. That's cute.
Yeah. Gig karma, it's an important thing. If you have a ticket, don't be
So
a
now you're expecting to get a free ticket.
no, it's on offer every year. I can pick it up whenever I want.
Oh, from them. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. I thought you meant like some sort of like karma circle, and you were like, no, I'm gonna get my free ticket because I gave a free ticket. And
No,
it's
no, they're always offering it. So,
oh,
but
that's
I
really nice.
always say no. I'm always like, no, I'll make my own way there. But I think one of these days I might just go, do you know
Go
what?
on, do it. Yeah, take them up. They're offering.
I know. I
That's
find it
good.
hard to take things. I'm really good at giving stuff. I'm still working on being able to receive stuff. It's
Really, Christmas must be a nightmare. So
yeah, but I give amazing gifts. So
cool. What's are there any like extravagant ones? Are there ones that like make a good story? Have you ever given something that's amazing?
they're usually very thoughtful. Like a lot
They're
of
probably more personal and stuff.
yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
thought goes into them and a lot of effort. But like, I don't know, I'm kind of a gifter. So like, let's say I'm walking through town and I see something and it makes me think of one of my friends. I'll just randomly bring them gifts throughout the year because I just saw
That's so
something that made me think of them and I thought that they should celebrate their day because they're special.
nice. That's lovely.
Like sometimes if there's flowers reduced in Duns, because I really love flowers, I'll just buy the flowers for 250 and then the first person I meet that looks like they're having a sad day, I'll just give it to them.
That's so sweet. Do they kind of like brighten up then? Do you see them light
Yeah,
up?
usually. Some
Or-
people think it's weird. Like that's the
Are you talking about
problem.
strangers? Like,
I did that a few weeks ago actually. It's funny. I was meant to meet a girl because it was her birthday and she ended up canceling on me in the end, but I already bought her flowers. And I already had flowers at home and I didn't need any more flowers. So I went into a coffee shop and I ordered a coffee and I just gave the flowers to the girl working in the coffee shop because she was having a hard morning.
and what did she say? Was she like, you're a
She was
weirdo, or
really
was she like,
grateful.
your class? That's great. That's so nice. Yeah, I think I'd like that.
I don't know. Kindness is kind of like sprinkles. Put it everywhere and see what comes from it. Like,
Love it. Yeah, that's
costs
cute.
nothing. Like. So many people are so busy being worried all the time. I don't know. I like trying to be good all the time. I don't always manage. Like, I wouldn't get on the wrong side of me either. Like,
Would flowers do it though? If you did get on the wrong side of you, 250 flowers.
to depend.
Depends on how far on the wrong side you are.
Yeah. Mostly, though, I understand that everyone acts a certain way when they're going through certain things. So it's very rarely about you when someone's mad at you or says something. It's
Yeah,
mostly about them. So I try
yeah,
be understanding, and everyone's having different journeys and just
yeah. It's tough to keep in mind, but important.
really important.
Yeah.
So now that I just mentioned my gig experiences, I'm interested in what were your favorite gig experiences?
Ooh, favorite gig experiences. Let me think. I feel like the vast majority of my favorite gig experiences will have been gigs that like where I was on stage. um, I actually can't think of one that was really special, but I'm sure there have. There was one where I was a spectator, and it was Justin Vernon and one of the other guys from Bon Iver. They were playing in the Opera House, and there were these like secret tickets that were going around for another gig that they did in CIT in the Stack. No, did they play in the Stack? They played in the auditorium. Um, and you had to have one of these like wristbands to get in. They were just giving out the wristbands in like these falafel shops and just like coffee places. They'd just be like, "Oh, do you want one?" And then like once the word got out, obviously everyone was like fanatic, and so they were all looking for the people that were giving them out. But we got them in the end, and then it was just Justin Vernon and then the other guy. I forget his name, but they were so good. I think there was a saxophonist as well. And they were just playing the two pianos and the saxophone, and they just played through the actually probably all of the albums, like bits of each. But I remember most of it from the latest one. Yeah, that was class, and it was free,
That
so
is
that was
amazing. Free gigs are amazing.
outrageously good, outrageously good. Because I think yeah, they were playing that night, so it was kind of like a warm up show. It was great. Yeah, it was a serious buzz, serious buzz. Um, Other gigs. The main one that always I go back to is the Royal Albert Hall one. Um, the Average White Band were playing. They were actually like the gig that we played was like that was loads and loads of fun. I was scared. Can I curse?
Yes.
Is that okay? I was scared shitless. Um, but it was good. But it was like afterwards that was like the amazing bit. It was like, oh, we did it. Like it's over. That was great. But then we went up to we were in the backstage area for ages, and the Average White Band were really, really sound. They were really funny. But we went up to the box then to watch their show. They were amazing. Um, I've actually probably only seen that kind of a show like a handful of times in my life. I thought they were phenomenal. Yeah, that was definitely one of the best shows I've ever seen as well.
Right. That's a really good answer. And obviously, you were talking about being scared when you played, right?
Yeah,
But this question just came to me now, so it's not even prepared, right? But,
but,
do you get this feeling like 2 days after a really, really big gig when all the adrenaline's gone, are you just really, really blue?
am I really, really blue? I actually don't think so. I guess it's genuine. Like it's often a step beyond stage fright pre going on stage. Like it's like genuine fear. For ones that are that sort of maybe significant or like that big. Always for support slots as well, where like the audience don't know you and stuff. Um, but no, I think afterwards do you know what? I actually think that it's because I have that maybe complicated and difficult feeling in such an intense form prior to going on and while on, that afterwards it's very much like it's actually like another adrenaline rush of like relief and just very joyous. I think that that's probably why it doesn't go into any sort of blueness because I'm actually, in general, this sounds bad and I don't know how else to phrase it, but it's like I'm kind of not even looking forward to the gig, so I can't miss it when it's done. It's like I actually enjoy it more in retrospect, I think.
Okay.
Should I turn my light on, by the way? Am I really dark?
You're not that dark, but I have my light on. If you want to turn yours on, that's absolutely fine. I don't think
No, it's up
anyone
to
will
you.
mind.
Up to
I'll
you.
pause. I'll pause the video. Go do it. 1 second.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
And we're back.
Let there be light, and there was.
Hey.
Yeah, no, I get really, really blue after a performance, or I get really, really blue after one of my big gigs because I think I put so much work into it. When it's over, I'm so wiped that I'm actually really sad. Like the high goes so high, and then I automatically plummet.
What kind of shows?
Oh, whether it be a gig I put on myself or an event I planned or one of my stand-up comedies, all of it.
Yeah, I definitely understand the feeling you mean. Like, I think that I would have had it when I was younger because we used to do like musicals and stuff. So that would be such a long period of incubation before you actually go on stage, and then you might run it for like 10 nights, and each night would be like so thrilling, and then like the applause at the end. It was also new as well. Like we were teenagers doing this, so I think it was like the newness as well that would probably add to the like thrill and joy of it. But after, when we'd finished the show back then, maybe like 17, 18, 19, 20, whenever we'd like work on a show for theater and then put that up, and then it's totally gone, because as well that really takes over your life in a way, for quite a long period. So then when that's gone, we all had withdrawals after those kind of shows. But I think maybe it's because, like, when I play a gig with Toucan is still continuing. Like, it's not like that's actually going anywhere. It's just that that particular gig has come and gone.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah. So my final question,
Oh my
well,
God, that flew. You have a final question.
maybe two more
Okay,
questions, okay?
let's see how we go.
What kind of band, what Irish bands would you recommend at the moment?
What Irish bands? This is just. I'll have to. I could actually write like a scroll with how many there are. There's so many. Oh, um, the go-to for me is always Chrome Yellow. I always say that Chrome Yellow are just the bomb. They're so good. They're really funky. Also from Waterford. Um, I could go into like recommending all the many people who I know and love and make amazing music in Ireland, but I feel like if I go into doing a list, I'm gonna leave someone out. I'm gonna leave many people out. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm actually just gonna say Chrome Yellow number one. They're just great. They're really, really good. But there's so much good music in Ireland at the
There
moment.
is
So
so much music, and anytime you kind of put that question on someone who's so passionate about music, it's quite difficult to answer.
oh, it's impossible. It's actually so hard because like you want to give everyone the leg up, but it's obviously just the nature of the question. It's impossible.
Of course. And
Yeah.
it's brilliant. I'm seeing so much change in the music scene in the last decade. Like, if I'd asked anyone that question a decade ago, the answer would, without fail, would have been nobody should be listening to anything but my band.
Really, I remember seeing a couple of interviews. I can't remember what like platform it was, but I remember seeing interviews. I think it was the people from Fight Like Apes that were speaking about this, and they were saying that sort of I don't want to say pre-internet, but maybe that's a good way to put it. But definitely before like streaming and downloads and stuff like that. Um, that there was like this real competitiveness in Ireland specifically. Maybe it was everywhere in the world at that stage, but just speaking in relation to the Irish music scene 10 years ago, I mean, I didn't experience it, but that I'm kind of glad. It wouldn't have been nice.
Yeah, no, I'm really, really happy. It makes bands easier to work with as well because they all want to collaborate and help each other, and
Yeah,
there's no negativity. And it's the conversation that keeps kind of happening when I'm talking to different groups and musicians in these particular interviews, because obviously I'm interviewing artists of all types, so the only time it comes up is with musicians, right? But let's say I'd ask a musician and they'd recommend loads of different bands and it's really interesting, and they'd be like, I'm so proud of them and I'm so happy, and I'm just still a little baffled, right? Because it's a new thing to me.
class.
Then I'd be thinking about it and I'd be like, but they're right to, because every single band has a different style. So, right. So if the scene grows big, that means more people are attending gigs. If more people are attending gigs, there's more of a chance that your band will be seen.
Hmm.
If people start going to see the support acts, there's a chance that they'll discover a new band that they love more than the band they went to see originally, because the band that they went to see originally picked this band, and there's a very strong chance that for whatever reason this other band might speak to your soul more. So there is a chance that your fan base might kind of diverge, but they're still going to go to all the gigs. They're just maybe going to be super fanning on X when they used to super fan on Y. okay? But ultimately, if everyone's working together to build a scene, what you get is a bigger pack of people who are actually going out to see live music. So everyone's benefiting. So why should we be snipey? It doesn't benefit. You know, competition is healthy. It's formative. It's important.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. It's like, yeah, you need to like maybe act competitive in terms of how much you want to promote your own music, but then dial that down to zero in terms of how you actually interact with the community that's around you. Because everybody supporting everyone else, it's just so easy. It's just like, and as well, like I think if you go too far into like the competitive zone, then politics comes into it as well, and it's like just it just all gets ugly. Like,
It does. And I think once you kind of put a negative seed out there, it actually affects you as well. Like if you were to see another band and go, oh my God, they're actually deadly. If your first reaction is to go and pretend that you think they're crap because you're a little bit warbled, right? That's a problem.
yeah,
But if your
yeah,
first reaction is to go, oh my God, they're amazing, and be inspired to be better yourself in order to compete,
yeah,
then
yeah,
you're winning.
yeah. It shouldn't be like, oh my God, they're amazing. I hate them.
Yeah, and that seems to be a beautiful change in the music industry in Ireland. Well, from
Great.
what I can see, I'm sure there are still people out there that are sniping and bitter, but
True,
like,
but at least it's not like the overarching theme.
no.
Yeah.
It's like I always say, be bitter or be better. The choice is yours.
That's great. I'm gonna steal that one. That's great.
Do. I think that's pretty much anything. So I've started asking people at the end of interviews, is there anything they would like to add to the interview?
Is there anything I would like to add to the interview? No, I don't think so. No, it was just a nice conversation. I don't think I had anything to add necessarily. Um, but thanks for having me. Good crack.
Thank
Good
you. And thank
convo.
you for taking the time. So what I'm doing now is I put them up on YouTube and I put them up on Facebook.
Great.
So that was the start of doing on both platforms. So when you're looking for the interview at a later date, like in a few months' time or 10 years' time, when it's actually going to be relevant again, people can just find it on YouTube. But in the meantime, it's easier for people to access it directly off Facebook.
Yeah, of course. That's great. Who's next? You know, or can you
I
reveal?
do know.
You can't reveal it.
I will tell you when I stop recording. So
It's a
anyone who
mystery.
enjoyed this, feel free to follow the Viking Promotions page and to also subscribe to the YouTube channel because this is my 15th interview. There is actually
Wow.
quite a few for you to go through. Incredible people. Not all Waterford based either. I've been as far as Canada and France. I've traveled a bit. I've
Wow.
talked to artists of all sorts. I had an incredible writer. I've had a sculptor and a puppeteer. I've had a sand artist. I've had bands, of course. I've had a spoken word podcaster. I'm about to have more poets, and just it's going to be really interesting. So, yeah,
Sweet. Can't wait to hear it all.
thank you. I'm going to stop recording now, Connor. Thank you so much.
Thanks a million. Cheers. Sound.